Red tide is caused by an increase in the population of toxic algae. A red tide occurs when the population of certain kinds of algae, known as dinoflagellates, explodes, creating what's called an algal bloom. Scientists sometimes refer to red tides as harmful algal. Is red tide harmful to humans generally? Red tides are described as harmful algal blooms. The most conspicuous effect of this kind of red tides are the associated wildlife mortalities as well as harmful human exposure. Is this natural overview? Certain species of phytoplankton and dinoflagellates found in the red tides contain photosynthetic pigments that vary in color from brown to red. Some red tide algal blooms are associated with fish kills, the production of natural toxins such as brevetoxins and ichthyotoxins are harmful to marine life.
An unusual number of dead animals have been washing up on Florida's shores this summer. The cause of these terrible scenes? A toxic algal bloom known as red tide. Florida is no stranger to red tide. These harmful blooms typically show up on the state's coasts almost every year.
A 1,700-foot device resembling a closed meshed net was dropped into Tampa Bay today, off St. Petersburg, Florida, in an attempt to keep millions of dead fish and other marine life from floating farther into the bay. They were killed by billions of microorganisms known as the red tide.
But this year is different. Usually, the wind and the current eventually break up the blooms. Now, though, the bloom has lasted about 9 months and still going strong. Things are so serious that Florida Governor Rick Scott issued an executive order last month to combat the algae, urging local agencies to take emergency actions, including redirecting the flow of water to curb the growth of the blooms. Red tides occur when colonies of algae grow out of control while producing toxic or harmful effects on people and animals. The toxins that are killing the turtles and fish in Florida also make shellfish dangerous to eat, and they can make the surrounding air difficult to breathe. And true to their nickname, these harmful algae often turn the water red. Also, in rare cases, the blooms can cause human illnesses that may be debilitating or even fatal. Beyond the health of humans, harmful algal blooms can also hurt marine ecosystems. Even non-toxic algae contained in the blooms can have a negative effect, because when masses of algae die, the decaying process can deplete oxygen in the water, killing animals in the area or forcing them to move elsewhere. It is difficult to combat these harmful blooms, but groups including the National Ocean Service have been working on it. Their goal is to learn how to detect and forecast the location of the blooms, so they can provide advanced warnings, helping towns plan for effects that come with the dreaded red tide.
To reduce exposures and prevent illness. Permanent top belt advisory sign in Oregon. It is not possible to know if an algal bloom is harmful just by looking at it. Additionally, toxin can be present even when an algal bloom is not visible. Protect yourself and your pets from harmful algal blooms. Avoid entering or playing in the bodies of the water that smell bad, look discolored, have foam, scum, or algal mats on the surface, contain or are near dead fish or other dead animals. For example, do not enter a body of water if dead fish have washed up on its shore or beach. Follow local state guidance if you are notified that your tap water contains algal toxin. Boiling water does not remove algal toxin and can increase the amount of toxin in the water by concentrating it. Be aware of advisories and health risks related to consuming contaminated fish and shellfish.